I've found this to be a very interesting topic, and thinking about it, I think the reason is because when I was a child, I loved to play with magnets. I would have a collection of them, and perhaps like you, I would stack them and I would use them to attract objects. I'd run them in the sand and see if I could find pieces of metal and such things as that. And I love the principle that the magnets, in somehow you would able to have a force. These magnets would be able to very subtly push away from one another or to attract. And I often wondered, how is that possible? What's going on with those magnets? And it wasn't until later that I had gone to school and took a class in physics in secondary school, and I learned the principles of magnetism. And then later, as I began to study the topic of yoga, I began to see the relationship between this physical property of magnetism and how it applies to us in our spiritual life. And it made so much sense to me that I was very excited to explore this topic. Magnetism, as we know just from studying in school, is related to energy. Energy and magnetism, you could say, are two aspects of the same force, electromagnetism. This was discovered the 19th century. And we know that when we pass a current of energy through a wire, electricity, let's say, through a wire, automatically, as energy moves through that wire, a magnetic field is created around that wire. The two go together. And in the same way, you can use magnetism and rotate that magnetism, and you create an electric motor, energy, and which can create electricity. These two have an interlocked relationship. They attract and they repel. Well, if you look at the human body, we see that the human body also has electrical magnetic properties to it. In our last lesson, we were discussing the topic of energy and the flows of energy within the body, and particularly the flows of energy within the spine. And this movement of energy, whereas I said, whenever you have a flow of energy, you also have a magnetic field. And so we can speak of this as well in the study of yoga. The movement of life force also has a magnetism to it that will attract and it will repel. And you see this in daily life. You see other people and you notice that some are very attractive. There's a charisma to them, that they draw people to them very naturally. And other people, you take one glance at them or you're in their presence for just a little bit and you feel repelled by them. You don't want to be around them. There's something about them that you can't say exactly why, but you feel that you want to keep your distance. And this principle of attraction and repulsion is something that works in the human body, but it works in the, it's a principle of the universe, this magnetic principle of energy moving, pulling things toward it and pushing things away. Now, if we follow this thought into our practical application in daily life, we see that it's more subtle than just being attracted or repelled by other people. We see that also this principle attracts circumstances to us. Magnetism, we draw to us circumstances in our life, or perhaps we repel certain things as well. But the principle is that circumstances will begin to conform to our consciousness. Our consciousness itself begins to attract certain situations to us, and our consciousness begins to influence the world around us, and it influences our inner relationships with it and with other people. And so this is something that's very important for us on the spiritual path. You could say that if we want the normal tendency of people, if they need something in life, is to go out and seek it. But we could turn that around and we could say, if you need something in life, instead of seeking it, you can also take the approach of attracting it to you, attracting that which you need in life, attracting the circumstances that are favorable to you, because you are attracting those circumstances already. But if you change your magnetism, you can attract other circumstances. A principle of magnetism is like attracts like. And if you think in a certain way, you begin to receive those circumstances.